Well, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you happen to be joining us from in the world today, folks. Welcome. This is Brett Stupakovich of TIBCO Spotfire, and I'd like to thank you for attending our webcast today, Gaining Insight into Your Brand's Online Retail Shelf Space. We're very fortunate to have with us the Director of Search Operations from Catalyst, Mr. Benjamin Spiegel. We're very eagerly anticipating the insights he has for online retail today, and a tremendous demo he has prepared, along with our very own insights from Leslie Miller, Senior Product Marketing Manager from TIBCO Spotfire. So just a few items before we begin. If you have questions at any point, please submit those using the Q&A panel on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Leslie, myself, and Benjamin will field those questions once all of the presentations and demos have concluded. And also, today's webcast is being recorded, so you'll have access to playback through a link which will be emailed by the end of this business week. So again, thank you for attending our webcast, and now I would like to introduce our first presenter, Product Marketing Manager from Spotfire, Leslie Miller.
Thank you, Brett. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our e-retail insights discussion and demonstration today. As Brett said, I'm Leslie Miller. I'm part of the TIBCO Spotfire product marketing team, and I'll walk you through some of the highlights of using Catalyst and the Spotfire Analytics platform to grow the global value and volume of your brand as you're gaining insight into your brand's online retail shelf space. We're joined today by Benjamin Spiegel, Director of Search Operations at Catalyst. Catalyst has great technology, the eShelf engine, which we're going to demonstrate to you today, which they use in combination with Spotfire Analytics and interactive visualizations to deliver deep insights into the competitive positioning of your products on the online retail shelves. Now, before I get started, I want to share with you a little bit of a quote that I pulled out of the GMA Deloitte Consulting report called Formula for Growth and Innovation, having to do with big data and analytics. When I read it, it really hit home all the trends that we here at Spotfire are seeing with regard to big data and the impact that all of this has on all of our customer verticals, but also particularly for consumer packaged goods. So what we see here is, what they're saying, their main point that they're trying to drive home are the ones that I also want to drive home with you, which is strong analytics is no longer an option. If you don't develop strong analytics maturity to drive insights into your business, into your brand, to make those more effective decisions, and with the goal, of course, ultimately to drive both top and bottom line growth, you're going to be left behind, in consumer packaged goods. So the good news, also according to this report, is that most CPG organizations have not climbed that high on the analytics maturity curve yet. So now is a really great time to get started. So to stay competitive, many CPG organizations are demanding more and more data with which to gain clarity into the market. So everywhere you look, there's data: Nielsen, IRI, internal sales data, online retail shelf data like we're going to talk about today. Think about also all the different touch points that we have with consumers today. We're getting data from all of that. They don't call it big data for nothing. It really is a huge amount of data, and it's coming at us fast and furious. So most of the CPG organizations that we're dealing with at Spotfire are very rich in data. But oftentimes, this doesn't translate into rich insights or consistent action across the enterprise. And there's a reason for that. Much of this data exists in silos across the organization, and it's not brought together. So, this makes it extremely difficult to get that true picture of global brand performance without spending countless hours trying to manually compile all of the data. So you're either taking too long to get, that strong business insight, or you're losing it altogether because you don't have the time to do it, which means that quantifiable, well-informed action is taken, is not taken until well after the fact. Another quote that I have for you here is that Accenture has identified that lack of data integration and not prioritizing global analytics within your organization can lead to inconsistent decisions and results in your organization. So here's the question. How do you, what's hiding in your data? How, it's tough enough to piece together a true and comprehensive picture of brand performance, and to definitively answer why it's performing the way it is if you don't bring together all of the sources of data that you have into that comprehensive picture. But there's help and there's hope, strong analytics and data discovery solution like Spotfire, for example, will help you to visually connect the dots, to see the hidden patterns and relationships that impact brand performance. In this day and age when the agility of making brand decisions in near real time is key to winning the market, you really need to get analytics into the hands of your day-to-day decision makers, your brand, your product managers, your country managers, in order to give them those immediate tools and power to explore the full picture of their brand and country performance. So data discovery and analytics is aimed squarely at enabling users themselves to drill up, down, across, through the data. It allows frontline decision makers to instantly ask new questions as they arise, as they happen, to ask unanswered questions, to apply deep analytics without being a PhD in statistics. So we feel like, in the 21st century, business applications need to become easier to use. They need to be driven by users themselves and available wherever and whenever the decision maker needs to get the answers that they have. We like to view it as the difference between a paper map and a GPS. So this is the vision behind Spotfire, and we've been recognized by key industry leaders like Gartner and Forrester and other leading analysts as being, among the most visionary product year after year in the ability to give that data exploration capability to frontline decision makers. So when it comes to analytics maturity, if we look at, today we're talking about, getting insight into your brand, and doing that in a e-retail environment. We feel strongly here at Spotfire that there is a maturity curve to climb in terms of analytics in your organization. So if we apply this to brand insights, we take the bottom step to measure. What is the performance of your brand relative to your competitors? We move up to diagnose and find out why is the performance what it is relative, to competitors? How do promotions affect it? How does your e-retail shelf position affect your sales? What are the different touch points that impact the overall performance of your brand? Moving up the ladder to predictive analytics, to be able to move beyond the historical view of what's going on with your product to project where it's moving in the future and to optimize the elements around your product that will help to drive growth. Operationalize, the way that we think about this is getting some of these advanced analytics that, business users don't have time to create themselves, having those packaged up in an analytic application that your data scientists create and putting that in the hands of your frontline decision makers so that they can act as the de facto experts without having to do statistics. Automate is a great feature that has to do with, we like to call it management by exception, so that when an event happens in the market, let's say the price on one of your competitors' product lines changes, you can get alerted and have an analysis comparing what just happened right now in the market with your historical information, really mashing up the historical with the real-time information in a single application that is automatically delivered to your business user so they can manage what they need when they need and not always be sitting in front of an analytic platform. And then transform, the final step, is really not just looking at a single use case. So we're talking about, brand performance today and retail placement and figuring out where the performance of your brand in that environment. But transforming and using analytics all across your enterprise for all the different use cases where data can be of use to you. And that's what we mean by transform. Transforming into a data-driven organization that leads the market because of the extensive and disciplined use of analytics across the enterprise. So going to the components of, I've talked so far today about brand performance, but I think the only purpose of showing you this slide is Spotfire is analytics software, and it can be used for any data in your organization. So when it comes to consumer packaged goods, here is a sample of the different types of use cases where you could apply analytics. And then finally, before I turn it over to Benjamin, I want to leave you with this quote. We at Spotfire naturally think we're a great product and a great company, but I wanted to share with you that we're not the only ones who feel like we have a great solution when it comes to analytics platforms. Here's a quote from Thomas Davenport, a world-renowned expert in analytics, and he cites the case of Procter & Gamble, which uses Spotfire as their visual analytics software system of choice as one of the best that he's seen out there in the industry. So that's very high praise indeed, and we're quite proud of that. So what I would like to do now is turn it over to the highlight of this show, which is really to hear Benjamin Spiegel, the Director of Search Operations at Catalyst, to talk to us today about how the e-retail engine that Catalyst has, can provide you that great insight into how your brands are performing on the e-retailers' shelves. It's really a great story that we have here. So I'm excited to introduce you to Benjamin. Benjamin, take it away.
Thank you very much, Leslie. And thank you very much for the Spotfire team for hosting this for us. We're excited to kind of share with you what we're doing and what kind of solutions in cooperation with Spotfire we have developed. So as a quick intro, I work as Director of Search Operations for Catalyst. We are one of the oldest search agencies out there and been helping the Fortune 500 businesses to solve their digital problems. And one of the biggest rising things we're coming across is online commerce. So what are we talking about with this? When we talk to our brands, what we hear is $250 billion spent annually. By 2016, we're looking at $325 billion spent. So, and when you dig a little bit deeper at the data, we found that 41% of this is spent on e-retail sites, the CVSs, the Amazons, Walgreens, drugstore. So 41% of that really go to e-retail sites. Of course, the biggest leading one is Amazon with $61 billion in sales and an amazing 27% growth. So what does it mean for our brands? And in order to tell you that story, we decided to come up with an imaginary brand that is the Catalyst baby food brand. So when thinking about baby foods, the first thing we look at is, what do the consumers search for these days? What do they start with? If it's either searching on Amazon or in Google, they look for things like baby food, baby formula, organic baby food. So in most cases, they come across something that looks a lot like this, which is the Google search results page. And what we have been finding through data analysis is that it's heavily dominated by e-retail sites. In some cases, you have some brands being visible, but generally it's really dominated by e-retail sites. So when we looked at approximately 70 baby food terms, we found that 61% of all results were e-retail sites, which is an insanely fast-growing percentage. So how does it change really the consumer behavior? What happened is that consumers nowadays prefer actually to choose to buy the goods from e-retailers over the traditional brick and mortar. And this is shown by Amazon Fresh and some other of the new innovative ideas out there. And the informed consumers, they research, compare, and purchase all at the same destination. So we really try to find out how can we help our brands with this. And through a lot of cooperation and talking to our different business partners, we created eShelf. And the eShelf engine is an insights tool that really gives brands the ability to monitor their performance in real time and also discover opportunities. So what is the eShelf engine? It's 4 components. It starts out with a true search simulation, where we discover when consumers search on Amazon, what kind of products do they discover? What do they see? What has the best shelf placement in the virtual shelf? We have a very intelligent database that stores a ton of information, such as rankings, ratings and reviews, sentiment of the content, product descriptions, and much more. Also part of this is the ongoing optimization, where our analysts go in and advise the businesses on, this is how consumers are searching and interacting on Amazon, and this is how you should name, design your product pages there. And the last one is the real-time insights. So now, of course, the question is, why did we choose Spotfire? So if we look at the traditional brands, we're looking at around 100 major search terms. On average, they would like to know the visibility on 5 e-retailers. So every time we look at them, we save 60 different results, and we do it every day. What that leaves us with is almost 1 million data entries per month of unique individual data. And if you add in there a couple of thousand customer reviews, different vendors, product attributes, pricing changes, we're looking at the data size where Excel or other simple tools don't really do it anymore. Of course, that size is nothing for Spotfire. That's at least what they told us. So how do we use it? We use it really in 4 key components. One is web-based real-time reports. Another one is automated report generation, alerts and notifications, and analyst-guided data exploration. So when we talk about web-based real-time reporting, we're talking about self-service data access real-time for the brand. As a brand manager, if I want to know, how are my competitors doing today? How am I doing? Which are my top products? Is any of my products out of stock on Amazon or CVS? So real-time insights on a mobile platform that's truly on the go. The second thing we're talking about is automated report generation. So the ability to give insightful data and findings in an automated manner using one of the components which is called the Automation Services Builder, which allows us to set up really custom rules and send different stakeholders really specific business answers on a scheduled basis without a lot of manual Excel copy and paste. Another great feature we use a lot is alerts and notifications. If something happens, alert me. If my product, if you believe it or not, Amazon doesn't tell a brand if they run out of stock on their product. They place a reorder, but they don't tell them. So having the ability for the brand managers to say, I want to be alerted if my competitor's price goes lower than mine, if I have a large amount of negative reviews, if my product runs out of stock. So really this business intelligence in an automated fashion. And then the last and my favorite is really the analyst-guided data exploration. It's where we sit down with our brands and we showing them the story, and they ask us questions on how are we doing in this vertical? Why are we doing this way on CVS? How can we improve results? That is really one of the key kind of tools where Spotfire really helps us divide the data, segment it, and answer these questions in real time. So I know you all not came to see PowerPoint, but Spotfire. So we put together a little presentation that is the kind of final deliverable for this imaginary catalyst baby food brand. And these are always custom built towards the brand's questions, so depending on their business lines, products, or their KPIs. So generally, it starts out with a dashboard like this that gets delivered to the brand via web player. And it's segmented in 4 quadrants. The first one is the visibility by e-retailer. And again, keep in mind that this data is not accessible to most brands today. They don't have that. So it's a first-to-market product where they really have real-time access to this data. So this shows me our brand, which is Catalyst Baby Food, which is green, what my share of shelf is in Walmart, Amazon, drugstore, Target, and CVS. It shows me in Walmart which brands are dominating over me. So for example, Nestle, Mead Johnson, Hero, Hain. It shows me in real time how much of the consumers are actually seeing my product versus my competitors. And then depending on the business questions, we show them different visualizations. So visibility by life stage, fitter, supported fitter, crawler, birth, and toddler related terms. And immediately I can see I have no visibility for consumers searching for newborn information, newborn formula, newborn milk products. So this is insights that generally wouldn't know. Even just looking at this, they're not aware that they have no visibility in this category. Then we even go deeper. We say, from the one perspective, it's the audience. So what's the age of my child in this case? Another way to look at it for them is the visibility by categories. Formula, cereals, yogurt, meal options, snacks, beverages. And it really gives them deep insight into why am I not visible for beverages? I only have 9% of the shelf, and my competitors have 40%. It really gives them the ability to targetedly optimize their assets, which are their product descriptions in the e-retail sites. And again, having Spotfire is for these analyst-guided data explorations is great because just to show this here, if somebody would ask now, how is it really looking by e-retailer? We can go in and with a simple drag and drop, tell them, here's how it looks for e-retailer. We are not visible on CVS. Our beverages on drugstore, we have no visibility. We do great on Walmart, so we really don't have to optimize any assets there. But on Target, we're doing horrible for beverages as well. So it gives really on-the-fly information for the brand that shows them where do I have to improve and where my competitors beating me. Another thing we look at often with brands is an opportunity analysis. So this is a dashboard that I really enjoy, which shows on the left bottom-hand side, it shows review density. So per product, how many positive reviews do I have versus my competitors? Another thing is, which we like to look at, is the visibility by e-retailer. So in Amazon, how often is my product discovered? How well is it positioned? So basically the top right-hand side is where you want to be. Your product is always visible for all the searches. In some cases, you can see then where are areas of opportunity. In our case, it's CVS. CVS, we are visible, but only very rarely. So it really gives you also, again, Spotfire, the beauty of it is drugstore versus Target. Let me compare them. And then allowing this kind of double-click deep dive where I can say, in drugstore, how have I been doing historically? Again, everyday data collection gives you real-time insights in your visibility. Which are my top products? Or again, the other way around. How is my competitor doing? Which are their best products? So really giving this deep dive ability to compare and look at multiple data sets to determine where are the opportunities. And then when we're working with the brand managers, they don't really care about the manufacturing level, they want to know about products. And they're saying, in Amazon, overall, where am I positioned? So this shows all the different products in Amazon and highlighted are my own products, the brand-owned green ones. So they can immediately see how am I overall doing. In Walmart, I have one of the best performing products, but only one. Whereas my competitors dominate everything else. And again, the ability to say for the brand managers, yes, but how am I doing on a detail level in Walmart? And then being able to double click in and saying, you're not visible for purees, formulas, or cereals, but yogurts, beverages, and snacks, you're doing great. So they would have never known that they have no visibility in all of these categories. And then again, as we're going in and working with the brands, optimizing assets, looking at historic performance, and being able to say, okay, how is this brand has to do historically? Which are their top products? And then which are their individual brands? Again, the beauty of segmentation here is that it's broken out by their different brands. So if they have if they manufacture and have two brands, we can look exactly how they're performing. We can see that Earth's Best has been pretty stagnant versus Healthy Valley has a lot of movement in their visibility. And then we can go in and we can see, why is this happening? We can look at review data and say, do some predictive modeling and say, if you would increase your reviews, your visibility would increase. And again, this is really the tool we enjoy most for these guided sessions where the brand's asking and saying, okay, this is great product visibility, but I really would like to know that actually by my stages. And with a simple drag and drop, we have it segmented now. Which are the best birth, sitter, and toddler products? Or by category. So being able to answer these questions in real time for the brands without having to do reanalysis, connecting against some database. It's beautiful. So this is how we at Catalyst use the eShelf platform to deliver really tailored insights to our brands and answer questions on their visibility in e-retail. And that concludes my presentation.
Well, thank you, Benjamin. That was really, the eShelf engine is really something. And also what a powerful integration with Spotfire for the exploration of market insights for retail. Really remarkable. So, folks, we invite you now to go ahead and submit questions via the Q&A panel as we discussed off the top, and we have time to address questions here in this session. So we invite you to do that now. Benjamin, looks like our first one here, how often does data from your analysis, how often does the data get updated?
So we update it daily just because there's a lot of fluctuation since all these platforms, especially Amazon, is updating in real time. Their algorithm is based on product description, product reviews. So we see, and you can even see it in some of these visualizations, daily changes that are pretty dramatically from a position 1 ranking to the bottom of the page. So we do daily data pulls. And then depending on the business question, we either report on daily, some of them weekly. But we have daily data.
Okay, thank you. Leslie, one here on the Spotfire side. Can Spotfire incorporate predictive analysis?
Thank you, Brett. Yeah, yes, absolutely. One of the things when you look at the maturity curve, that is one of the important steps. And with regard to predictive analysis, we incorporate SAS if you have that in your environment, MATLAB, but we also incorporate R. We have our own implementation of R and S+. So absolutely, we can incorporate predictive analysis there. I have a question for you, Benjamin. I see this also in the Q&A panel. You talked a little bit about, you said something about predictive modeling in your demonstration. What are the use cases that you see applying predictive modeling to the data that you're collecting through the eShelf engine?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I don't know if you're still sharing my screen, but in a lot of cases, brands are not positioned very well, and they have competitive products more visible, ranking above them. So the brands usually ask us, how can we win? How can we be better ranked? So what we do is we look at historic data and use that historic changes to then predict what needs to happen in order to be better visible. So for example, some sites have really simple algorithms. They're based on reviews. So we look at how would your product position change if you had more and better reviews. We look at other product attributes, pricing, sentiment of reviews, and then we build different models depending on the e-retail site and advise our brand partners on what they need to optimize in order to dominate that shelf.
Great, thank you. Another question that we had coming in, I'm sorry, Brett, I'm taking over your role, aren't I? So sorry about that. The question had to do with Catalyst and how we, gosh, if I can read the question better. How do you get that information? I'm guessing the information that you have there is pretty proprietary, but the question was, are you connected directly to Amazon or the other retailers' data? And so I'm curious, to know the answer to that, without giving away your secret sauce there.
And it's all publicly available data, in a lot of cases through partnerships and APIs. So there's no personal identifiable information or customer behavior. It's all kind of public and partnership available data.
Great, and that's also, with regard to, and that also has to do with the review data within the sites as well?
Yes.
Okay, terrific. Another question, this one is coming directly to me, has to do with, how granular can you go within Spotfire and what types of problems can you solve? How much of a root cause can you determine? So actually that could be a question we could answer together, Benjamin. From the standpoint of Spotfire, as much data as you have that you can pull into Spotfire is going to determine, how deep of a root cause that you can solve. The thing that's wonderful about the platform is that it is, I sometimes call it a unified platform because it does consume data from all of the data sources that you have out there in your network so that you can connect your promotion data, for example, to your brand performance data and your pricing data. All of this can be underneath the covers of an analysis. So the types of problems that you can solve and the root cause that you can get to can be very granular depending on whether you're connecting to those sources of data within the product. With the eShelf engine that you just showed us, Benjamin, what's the level of detail that you can get to there? I mean, you certainly showed us a number of different ways to slice and dice the data, but what types of decisions based on this granularity do you see your customers making with this data?
So generally it starts with us explaining to the brands what we have found, because again, it's not being monitored these days. So then it usually results in a brand contact coming back and saying, hey, you were right, this product is not selling on Amazon. Can you tell us why? And that's where it comes then in for us to kind of start joining these data sources together. So sales numbers, looking at overall consumer interest, so look at Google search volume for that type of product. And going all the way back to Google almost, where we're looking at how well is this product actually positioned within Google. And one of the nice things we actually have done last week for a brand was that they had a product that was ranking beautifully, highest visibility, but no sales. And when we actually went all the way down to the product detail level, we compared the product images. And it was amazing. It was for two different products, two competing products, but our image was just not appealing to the search intent. So it was a specific food type, but the product showed pretty much a plastic bag. So we can really dig in deep and start looking at consumer interest, sales data if we have access to it, as well as behavior on these pages. So you can go as deep as you have data. That's the beauty of it, I think.
Terrific. And then another question, and I think I already know the answer to this one, but with regard to, who are the folks that you're seeing in your customer environment using this data? And the question has to do in particular with planning and planners, but, I'm guessing the answer there is yes, but who are all the different constituents that you see within the enterprise who are getting value out of this data?
So if we remember early in the slides, we have a couple of different delivery formats. We have for the business folks a really rolled up version that is, here is your visibility. And we have two really constituents. One is the business owners who then say, oh my God, why is this happening? Or what can I do? What then generally happens in the enterprise is they go to their own analytics teams and say, why is this happening? Can you tell me why? And generally, these people are the ones who come back then and who really dive into the Spotfire web player we deliver or into the dashboard. So it's generally on the one end, the rolled up questions really go into the business owners, and the detail line by line item level really goes to their own in-house analytics teams who, as of today, don't have access in a lot of cases to this type of data.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions that we have out there for Benjamin or myself on the eTail Insights presentation that we have going on today?
Please speak now if you do. Please submit those in the Q&A panel.
See, if you provide enough insight, nobody has questions.
I don't know if this is the context of this is within the eShelf engine or Spotfire particularly from the product standpoint, but besides retail insights, are there any other industries? And of course, Leslie, we have an answer for that, and I'm sure Benjamin does too.
Well, certainly from the standpoint of the Spotfire platform, we, at Spotfire, we do have particular industries that we concentrate in. For example, CPG, like we talked about today. But certainly from the standpoint of, Spotfire is a platform that covers analytics. I almost liken it to, oh, do you have data? Yes, we can help you with it. So we try to really make sense of that for enterprises out there, and we do try to market and talk about certain use cases where analytics are particularly amenable. So what other, besides e-retail insights, what, and this may be going beyond, what other insights could you get using this platform, the eShelf engine, Benjamin, for what other use cases would you see beyond this, or are we getting beyond the scope of the use case we're trying to talk about here?
We are, but one point I would like to mention, nobody kind of covered today, but in the core as a search agency, we are trying, our job is to understand the algorithms. So how does Google work? How does Amazon work? And one of the great tools we use in Spotfire a lot across our different kind of brands is regression capabilities. So look at the ranking change, performance of a specific page change, why did it change? And then we look at the different factors, and the regression modeling gives us a pretty good guess on what could have happened and what was the impact. So we can then apply that model to forecast our recommendations. So be able to really tell the brand, these are the 4 steps you need to take to win in this topic.
Perfect. That's great. I mean, and that could even apply to someone like myself in technology software product marketing, who's looking to have strong presence, web presence. So yeah, it sounds like any industry can certainly benefit there.
I mean, I put my days in there, and I can see where we're spending the most money, which days we're spending more. So even small data sets, you can get great insights with.
Terrific. This question here is for me. If I were a client, I might be a little whelmed with all the colorful data. How would you simplify the data so it's dummy-proof and client-friendly? Well, there are a couple of different ways. You can certainly, in Spotfire, you can, create your own color scheme that, is friendly for, the client base that you're looking for. Another way that, sometimes you do have a lot of data in your data set, and one of the ways that Benjamin did a great job showing in his presentation was, using filters to filter out the noise of what you don't want to look at a particular point in time. As you drill down, getting into, smaller data sets so that, maybe you're only looking at a couple of data points. But it's very easy to change look and feel and colors and all of that kind of thing within the Spotfire platform.
Yeah, so we actually did that here because if you turn on all the noise, as you can see, we kind of removed all the products that are non-essential, that are books, and as you can see, it almost doubles the volume. So we use that a lot to really quickly filter out things we care about or brands care about or areas we want to look deeper into. And again, it's this real-time instant feedback that makes it really attractive for us.
Great.
That's great, really. Benjamin, Leslie, thank you so much, really, for fielding some of these questions and sharing such rich insights today. I want to remind our attendees that this session was recorded. You'll be receiving that via a follow-up email later before the close of this business week. If perhaps any questions come to mind, or perhaps more deeper technical questions for either Benjamin or Leslie that we aren't able to cover in this session here, we invite you to reach out to us at MDS, which is Mary David Samuel, MDS@TIBCO.com, and we'd be glad to connect with you offline, and our team will be in touch with you in that way. So again, a big thanks to Benjamin Spiegel from Catalyst and Leslie for your insights for eRetail as well. That concludes our session for today, and we thank you so much for attending, and we hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brett.